Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times. Today, as you can see, we're going to be discussing all the books that I did not enjoy in 2020. So we're here to actually spill the tea, and these are just 10 of the books that I enjoyed the least this year. This video doesn't mean that these books are garbage. It's just my personal opinion, and it's just from all of the books that I read in 2020, the ones that I enjoyed the least.
It's coffee time.
Needless to say, please do not feel offended if I mention any book here that you absolutely loved. We all love different things, and I hope you don't take this personal if I say negative things about a book that you really enjoyed, because like I said, it's just these books didn't work for me. It doesn't mean like they're the absolute worst. It just means they were not for me. They are not my type of book for whatever reason. And before we go and talk about those books that were for me the worst of 2020, if you love books, if you love horror, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more coffee times. So all of these books I do not own, and the ones that I actually owned in physical form, I got rid of them for obvious reasons because I did not enjoy them. So the first one is a thriller that I thought was awful, and that is Rain Will Come by Thomas Holgate. So there were a couple of positive things about the book, which is that we are following basically your typical mouse and cat kind of game between a detective and a serial killer. The good thing is that I love that the serial killer was targeting people that had committed hideous crimes, and he was trying to just bring justice. So he was targeting people that kind of deserved it. So it was kind of like a Punisher moment there. And those are things that I actually enjoyed about the book. However, the writing style made the book really dragging, and I felt at times that we were just going in circles. And it is a thriller that unfortunately did not have any interesting twist or like a plot twist or something to make it really, you know, like exciting. And the things that really put me off about this thriller were that there is transphobia in the book, and also the only kind of main female character that you get to know is made like this weak woman that needs a man, and I was really not there for any of that. So it really did leave a really bad taste in my mouth. And it's sad because, like I said, I really liked that the serial killer had specific motives for his victims, and the killings were very gory and nice, but all in all, I just hated the way that the book addressed some topics. Let's talk about one that really hurt my feelings, and that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This was such an expected book, and I actually reread the Hunger Games trilogy before jumping into this one because I was like so excited. And the Hunger Games trilogy is one of my favorite YA trilogies, and man, this book was so bad. I bought myself a nice new hardcover edition of the book that I have unhauled by now, and I was so hurt. Like honestly, like 20-30% into the book I already wanted to DNF it, but I pushed myself to finish it just because it was based on the Hunger Games. Otherwise I would have 100% DNF'd it. So we are following the story of Snow. His name is Coriolanus. Every time I try to read that book, especially this year, you know which word came out of my mouth, you know, starts with a C. Coronavirus! And the story basically is based on the 10th Hunger Games. So it's like a prequel from the Hunger Games, and I thought this was gonna kind of explain a little bit more the origin of the games, how we came to what we are now with all of these districts, you know, how we ended up divided in these districts and all of that. But it was not about that at all. It was just about the character of Snow that sadly didn't bring anything new to that character. Like, I don't know more about Snow than I knew reading the original trilogy, so why do we have this book? Why? And it was just so dry and so boring and so pointless, and I was like, I can't deal with it. And then we have this kind of situation in which like Snow really likes this girl that is part of the games, and I was like, no. No. And you know, the funny thing is, I know a lot of people really did love this book, and I was like, nope. So honestly, for me, this book, I'm just gonna pretend like it didn't happen, and I'm just gonna enjoy my original trilogy. I'm gonna enjoy my movies, and we're just gonna pretend that this book never happened. Next is Blood of the Fae by Tom Mohan, and this one I was kind of excited about because it had to deal with supernatural things and monsters and, you know, a dark story, and I was all for that. And actually the book did not start bad at all. We are following this woman that receives this mysterious phone call telling her that her life is in danger, and they give her instructions or where to go to be safe. So she flees her apartment and ends up going to this small town where she meets this family that start to tell her about some supernatural stories and some creatures that are living in the woods, and it all starts to be really cool. But then the book gets extremely repetitive and the plot starts to get messier and messier, and then the whole enjoyment of the story just poof vanishes. And yeah, it ended up being like a big disappointment. It started pretty cool and entertaining and ended up being just a mess. Next we have They Did Bad Things by Lauren A. Forey. And my problem with this is that this is one of those thrillers that uses convenience and a super lazy ending to wrap things up, and that was extremely disappointing for me. I really did love the premise, so that's why I picked it up. It is about 6 roommates that in 1995, after a party, wake up the next morning to realize that only 5 of them are alive, and the 6th one, Callum, one of the boys, has mysteriously appeared dead at the bottom of the stairs. And so this kind of creates this whodunit situation, and I was like really intrigued about it because we jump from that point in time that was in 1995, so we jump 20 years into the future, and the remaining alive 5 roommates are all lured into this hotel with false pretenses, and once they get to the hotel they realize that they are unable to leave that hotel, and they have all been lured in there to discover the truth of what happened to Callum and why he ended up being dead. My problem with this was also that the story is being told from the perspective of the 5 roommates, and it jumps back and forth in time, which made the plot really messy and kind of hard to follow, and I ended up hating all the characters which is also not good. And something else that rubbed me the wrong way is that there is a rape scene in the book, and it was treated like something not important, something like a misunderstanding, and I was really not liking that part at all either. And like I said, this book was not thrilling, and I hate thrillers that give you an ending that it's impossible to guess because it's something you just added last minute, and you know, just make like a lazy kind of wrapping up ending. The next one is a book that I was super excited to read, and actually also got myself a nice hard copy of it that I have since then unhauled, and that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I really did love the idea of this dark academia in which we follow this school with different groups and cults, and I was like, yes, yes please. So I started reading the book, and I soon realized I had no idea what was going on. I don't know, I think it was not just me, but this book, it was so hard to get into, so hard to follow. I was not able to tell apart the different societies and people. It was all like a mush in my head, and it was just not something I was enjoying. I think the only reason why I did finish the book is because I was buddy reading it with a bunch of different people, and we're all reading the book, so we kind of pushed each other to finish it. And the only character that I kind of cared about was Alex, but honestly, it is a character that comes from abuse, and it's supposed to have come out of that stronger. And we do see at times that Alex is someone that pretends to be a badass, but then also lets everybody do anything with her. And I don't know, it was just a mess. And also trigger warning from assault to rape to murder. Next we have Unfollow Me by Charlotte Duckworth. So my main problems with this book was this was advertised as a thriller, but it is not. And B, this book has assault and rape, and it has machismo, not only from men but also from women, and I absolutely hated to see that on the page. There is trigger warnings here for sexual assault, rape, and a terminated pregnancy. So we are following here basically a YouTuber, a blogger that has disappeared called Violet. So she has a big amount of followers and a lot of fans, and two of her biggest fans start to investigate to see why she has stopped posting, to see what happened to her. And honestly, this was not it. So this ended up being a poorly made drama story, just exploring these characters' personal situations and, you know, hardships that they had gone through. And I don't know, I did not like this book at all. This next one, I know some people really love this book, but sadly it was really not for me, and that is Boyfriend Material by Alexis Hall. I thought I was gonna love this book, honestly, because it had all the elements that I like in a romance story. Especially this is a fake relationship kind of situation, and I do love, you know, hate to lovers and fake relationships. I'm a sucker for all of those. We are following Luke and Oliver, who decide to start these fake relationship, especially because for Luke, he needs to look better to the public because his father is a well-known musician and he is always in the tabloids depicted as this loser. So he wants to turn things around in his life, and he starts this fake relationship with Oliver, who is a lawyer. And you know, my problem with the book was that it was boring and dragging for me. It was really repetitive, and also for me the relationship between Luke and Oliver just felt cold. I didn't see the love tension there. I was not vibing with that. But like I said, this is a super personal opinion. It was just not for me. But you know, I heard of people really loving the book, so if you love the book, I'm sorry, it was just not for me. Next we have White Land by Rosie Crane Higgs, and this is one that I read recently. And my problem with this book is that it was supposed to be this fantastic adventure, kind of like a dark fantasy, and it started actually pretty good. We are following these two girls that are spending some times with their parents in the mountains, and it's all snowed in, and it has all kind of this atmospheric take. And one of the sisters disappears one night, and they find her the next day under the snow, and there was no way that she could have survived a night outside of the hotel, but she is still alive when they find her. However, she starts to act weird. She's not the same girl. Something happened to her that night. So her sister starts to go and investigate to see what could have happened to her, and meets this boy, and they discover this kind of fantasy world. But this book was so dragging, so boring, and you felt like you were not getting anywhere at all. And yeah, this is another one that had so much potential. I was hoping for this dark fantasy story of like a new world that they discover in these snowy woods, and it was a miss. Next, I have another book that is going to be controversial, but that is The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. So I did enjoy The Cruel Prince, the first book. The second book was alright, and I felt like The Queen of Nothing was 100% unnecessary. If this book would have not existed, we would have not changed anything from this trilogy, and I don't like that. When I'm reading a book, I need for that book to make a change, to bring something new, to add to the story, to add to the characters, and I just felt like this book was just there to bring more material about this story but without a purpose. Like it happened to me with the third book of To All the Boys I Loved Before. I thought it was just because the author couldn't let go of the characters, but it didn't bring anything new to the story or the characters. And I feel like this is the same thing that happened to me with The Queen of Nothing, so that's why I put it here. For me, it was boring and it didn't add much, anything like really important for me when it comes to the story or the characters. And the last one that I would like to talk to you about is A Stranger's Guide by Charlotte Platt. This book had everything that I wanted. It was kind of like a creature fantasy book with some horror aspects to it. We are following a guy looking for his missing sister, and when he starts investigating, he finds her friends. He finds a missing diary written by her, and he realizes that in his family, people tend to have magic powers. And one of my favorite things about this book was to read the diary of the sister and her encounters with creatures. But 30% into the book, I couldn't care less about the characters. I still didn't understand the whole magic, how it worked, and it just became really messy for me, and I lost interest very quickly. Which is something that has happened with most of the books that I have mentioned here. For some reason they were dragging and I was losing interest, and this is sadly one of them. I think they were trying to combine so many genres that it kind of backfired a little bit. Alright you guys, so these are 10 of the books that I enjoyed the least in 2020. I am so sorry if I mentioned one of your favorite. Please, no hurt feelings here. These are just the books that did not work for me for one reason or the other. But you know, you are free to love them as much as you want. Please let me know down below, what is the worst book you have read in 2020 for you? Which one did really not work? Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Please give the video a big thumbs up for support. If you want to follow me on the social medias, always the links are down below, and I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye.